What's cracking, everybody? You're back with Mr. Berger. I had some technical difficulties, but I got everything worked out and it's A.K.A. now. So tonight we're going to be taking a look at this ridiculous Golem Mirror Clone deck. This thing is crazy. So I saw this on a Clash with Ash video, as usual. You know, he definitely did a great job of covering this deck. I think it's pretty just hilarious. I mean, look what I'm doing off to start. I'm pumping and I'm mirroring what my pump is my opening move. So this deck was founded, or I guess it was kind of played by KJ, and if I'm not mistaken, it was played in one of Clash with Ash's like tournaments that he hosts from time to time. He does tournaments. He used to do them daily when they were hosted by Plex Chat and paid for by Plex Chat, but now he kind of pays for them out of his own pocket, and you know, does them from time to time. He usually streams on Facebook, either Clash Royale tournaments or him playing PUBG. So if you haven't followed him on Facebook already, go ahead and do so. Just search for Clash with Ash on Facebook, and you can get in on these tournaments. And what he's been doing lately is he's been putting up like bounties, like $100 rewards if you complete in the top 3 using like Hog Trifecta. You know, the Hog, it was a Hog Musketeer Valkyrie deck. So I believe that one of them was like a Golem Mirror or Golem Clone was the kind of go-to for the reward, or the requirement for the reward rather. So this guy KJ found this deck and played it, and you know, did really well with it, and they shared a bunch of replays on his channel. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this out and see how it goes. And it's absolutely hilarious, guys. You can see here, like, I have a lot of things that I want to talk about as far as strategy goes and kind of the breakdown of this deck. But you can see here, essentially I'm okay with losing my tower there because I'm just gonna go for a big monster push here now that I've built up that elixir from early on. Alright guys, so I really like Golem Clone, so let's start there. It's an archetype that I really enjoy. Not really an archetype. I like Golem Beatdown to begin with. So Golem Clone is its own little kind of version of that. I guess you could call it its own archetype. Because it's a really fun and off-meta and just entertaining and hilarious kind of deck. I mean, look at that. I just clone my Golem, and I get all that death damage from all the Golem and the Clone Golem and all the Golemites. And then I just mirror that clone and clone it all again. It's hilarious. So I haven't really been a big fan of the mirror for a while, but mirror did get a minor buff in this last patch. It no longer is available in your starting hand. It'll never be in your starting 4 cards again. And if you don't understand why that's a buff, it basically means that because you can't play it as an opening card anyway, it's kind of just sitting there useless, and it only gives you then 3 potential cards to have as your opener. And that's just, if you do the math, I mean, maybe you could think like, okay, well, I'll just play something else down and then use the mirror, but ideally you want to have the potential to have those other cards as openers, because there's so many other things that could come in handy. For example, the pump. In a deck that uses the elixir pump, you want to have that elixir pump as your starter, as your opener in your starting hand, because you want to get it down as soon as possible. See whatever counter they might have to it, get it out of the way, try to get that elixir advantage. Even if you get 1 elixir from it and then they rocket it, then that's an elixir advantage for you, as long as they don't get your tower too, right? So that mirror no longer being in your starting hand, I think, is a really cool change. It's a big buff, so I think I'm going to be more of a fan of it now. I think it's a really cool card. I think it's a really cool concept. I just feel like it doesn't do well. Like, there's just so many better alternatives. So anyway, I decided to go and give this deck a try anyway, with that clone, that mirror in there, and I've been pleasantly surprised. It does really well. So let's go on. What else do I want to talk about? If you haven't checked it out already, I always forget, is it Gendrago or Gendrago? He's gonna watch this video and get mad at me for mispronouncing his name, but he's like the king of beatdown and the 3 crowns. He holds the record for like most 3 crown wins in the world. Check him out on Twitter. I correspond with him a lot on Twitter. He's a cool guy. He does these kind of beatdown decks, these massive golem push decks where he's not afraid to lose 1 or 2 towers, get that pump down, and go for a massive push. And I've seen him play with a pump and a mirror and get 2 pumps down and just go for this huge beatdown snowball push and just get the 3 crown win and wreck them. So you can apply that kind of concept, that idea, that mentality to playing this deck and go for those massive beatdown pushes. Alright, what else do I want to talk about? So, as I mentioned, the mirror was recently tweaked, and I think that that'll make it a lot stronger. And I talked enough about that already, so let's talk briefly about the clone. The clone spell was also tweaked recently, and I believe it was buffed. Yeah, it was definitely buffed. what they did is they made the radius a whole tile larger, and in a circle sense that makes it a lot bigger. So I think it's comparable to like the arrows now, instead of like, you know, a fireball radius or something like that. So, you know, correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But anyway, the clone got a buff because of its radius, and that allows you to catch all these cool units in there even more easily than you would have been able to do beforehand. So it's a minor buff, but I think it kind of is a cool little tweak. It's something that the clone needed without making it too OP, bringing it hopefully back into the meta a little bit in some cool little fun decks like this. I think it's going to continue to be a kind of troll spell, and this is going to be kind of a troll deck, but it's going to be fun and entertaining regardless with that minor buff. Alright, what else do I want to talk about? Well, let's talk about our opening moves. As I mentioned earlier, if you got a pump in your deck, your ideal opening move is to pump up. If you can pump and mirror the pump, but that's really risky. You only want to do that if you're really trying to have fun, or if you know you're going up against an easy opponent, or maybe a friend and just kind of messing around, because it's kind of a risky move to play. But you can do it and then just go for the massive beatdown push, as you saw me do in that first match. Otherwise, you kind of just want to cycle to your pump. I usually don't golem until we're in double elixir time, or I have a pump or two down already. You can also, as I mentioned, you got a lot of cool cards in this deck. The cheapest one, I think, is the Royal Ghost, actually. So that's kind of my go-to, like, opener or cycle card if I don't have anything else. Otherwise, I'll just put, like, a Night Witch in the back or something like that, or a Wizard. So let's talk a little bit more about that. We got a lot of powerful cards in here, and we do have a lot of legendaries. We got 3 legendaries. We got the Lumberjack, we got the Night Witch, and we got the Royal Ghost. So I don't know how I feel about the 3 legendaries. You can definitely substitute them, but what you want to go for is things that kind of synergize with that clone spell, at least I think. Things that have kind of a death rattle effect, something that happens when they die, so that it synergizes really well with that clone spell. And we can see there another game where I'm okay losing the 2 towers and I just go for the 3 crown win. But if you do have all these cards in your collection, then go ahead and use them. They're really good. Night Witch is beastly with clone because of her death rattle. When she dies, she spawns 2 bats, and she also continues to spawn bats as she walks down the lane, so having 2 of them spawns even more bats. It's crazy. Of course, the Lumberjack, when he dies, he'll drop a rage effect, so you can get that early rage and actually gain the rage benefit on your original Lumberjack. The Wizard and the Royal Ghost don't do too much as far as you know, like synergy with the clone spell, but the Wizard's just really strong in the current meta since he got buffed about 2 patches ago. The Royal Ghost, I feel like he doesn't quite fit in this deck, but I just kind of took the deck as is, and it worked out really well for me. If you want to replace him, you probably want to replace him with something like a Dark Prince for that splash damage. Maybe even Ice Golem for having like another mini tank and that kind of death rattle effect. But I would probably more likely go for the Dark Prince, kind of get another strong support card. Plus, I guess the Dark Prince's shield does kind of synergize with a clone in a sense. Alright. Again, guys, if you do have these cards, play them. If not, just find nice little replacements. You know, just get your highest level cards. I'm playing this on challenges, so the levels don't matter too much. But whatever support cards you're comfortable playing with. Things that synergize well with a big beatdown deck. You know, you can always toss a Musketeer in there if you don't like the Wizard, or an Executioner. What else? Have fun with it. Alright. Let's talk about the, well, we talked about clone synergy already. I was just going to mention again, I want to reiterate this because it's important. The Night Witch and the Lumberjack have huge clone synergy because of their death rattle effects, and obviously so does the Golem. So that's where the big benefit of having that clone spell in this deck comes from, is you're able to clone the Night Witch and the Lumberjack and the Golem all in one go. And even if you clone like your Wizard, it could live for a surprising amount of time if it's placed in a good spot, and provide a significant amount of extra DPS. So again, I want to reiterate this even though I mentioned it earlier, that is, don't be afraid to lose a tower or 2. It's okay to pump up and lose 1 or 2 towers, and then you go for that massive push, catch them off guard with the clone, and just absolutely wreck them and win the game. The clone spell, it is one of those kind of tricky, gimmicky, high risk, high reward cards like the heal or the freeze. So if you misplace it or do it poorly, you can completely waste it, and there goes 3 elixir for absolutely nothing. But if you know how to use it really well, and you kind of wait and catch your opponent off guard, and don't show them that you have it until you can get a huge push going, like so, then you can gain some massive benefit from it. You can see what I did there is I didn't use the clone until I had a bunch of support units with the Golem, and that new and improved radius of the clone allowed it to catch all those units in together. I used my wizard on defense on the left there to try to go ahead and make sure that I can defend. And then look at that lumberjack, he actually switched over to the left lane there and finished off the tower for me. Alright guys, that is it for this hilarious Golem Mirror Clone deck. It's awesome. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I always appreciate it. Make sure, again, there I did it again. I pointed the wrong way because the camera's flipped. Make sure to hit the little burger down there and subscribe. It'll be popping up there, a little later from now, if you haven't already. Give me a thumbs up on the video if you like this video, because all those thumbs up help. And don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section below, because I love responding to comments. I'm starting to feature a comment of the day. So leave me a nice little comment there. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any suggestions or questions. And who knows, maybe you'll get featured. Thanks so much for watching, guys. And have a good night.